If The Dark Knight is the movie that made Nolan a superstar filmmaker, Inception is the movie that cemented him as a legend. Everyone, from average moviegoers to cinephiles, was talking about this movie when it came out. Its awesome, mind-boggling premise, stellar execution in both its direction and editing, and instantly iconic score that resulted in countless memes about the Hans Zimmer. It was Nolan's first film to be nominated for Best Picture, and while it didn't win, that's perfectly understandable since it had a ton of competition. Black Swan, True Grit, Toy Story 3, The Social Network. It was a pretty stacked lineup to say the least. All these movies lost too. I wonder who the actual winner was. The King's Speech? Who? Well, whatever. Even though the Academy deemed Inception to be not as good as a boring, stuffy, completely forgotten movie from the director who would go on to make Cats 2019, I think Inception is pretty neat, and that's all that matters. I almost don't really know what to say about it, cause like, everyone's talked about it in incredible detail, and its best attribute is pretty obvious. It's just a really cool premise, which is maybe a little similar to Satoshi Kon's Paprika, but let's not worry about that. Speaking of this movie being incredibly similar to a Japanese work, Inception is about infiltrating people's subconscious in order to steal things and change their minds, while also coming across cognitive versions of people that person knows in the real world. Suspicious. I'm on to you, Atlas, you hack frauds. You owe Christopher Nolan an apology. Anyway, yeah, I love heist movies, and this is a heist movie on Adderall. Each layer added makes the story way more enticing to follow, and it's really a mark of some tremendous editing that the story is even possible to follow with all this going on. Good job, Lee Smith, you edited the movie real good. The story is also great at introducing new stakes. Like, out of all the guys that get shot in the first layer, it had to be the one Leo needs to make a phone call and get him back to the United States. Oppenheimer just had to have super secret mental training to defend his subconscious. The feats these guys have to accomplish to make the plan work get increasingly more and more insane as the film goes on, and it just leaves you on the edge of your seat. I also think the story with Leo and his wife is really compelling and a solid emotional hook in the midst of all this craziness. However, the movie isn't exactly as perfect as I remember it being when I was 13. I kind of find a lot of the supporting characters in this to be a bit half-baked and unmemorable. Like, Tom Hardy's character is kinda funny, but not really. I think Elliot Page's character is a good anchor for Leo's emotional journey, but not really much of a character outside of that. Leo and Cillian Murphy's characters are the only ones I feel like I really learn much about. And like, is a lack of character for the team in a heist movie really that big a deal? No, not really. But we spend a lot of time with them, so I do wish they were more distinct. I also think we really take our time to get to the heist. Which is fair, we gotta explain the whole concept of incepting and whatnot. But there's still a lot in the first hour that feels like it doesn't need to be here. Like, the whole chase scene in Mombasa kind of felt like a studio-mandated action sequence since we can't let the audience get bored. But once the heist does get going, it's pretty incredible, and I ultimately can't complain about that much else. It's not among my all-time favorite Nolan works anymore, but it's still like a 9 out of 10. This dude's filmography is stacked. Oh, and since so much of the discussion surrounding this movie involves its ambiguous ending, without spoiling anything, I'm gonna give my take on it. Yeah, I think the top falls over. I mean, like, why wouldn't it? But why did Nolan cut the scene before showing that? Is it to stir up discussion among the general populace about the ambiguity of this film's conclusion? Nah, see, I think it was because he ran out of film to make the movie because he spent it all on the special effects, so there was no more film to show the top falling over. But hey, that's just a